Hi, this is Aaron Marshall with Ratio Christi here at UNC Wilmington. Today we wanted to look at tactics in defending your faith. Now, all of this material comes from a book called Tactics by Greg Koukl, K-O-U-K-L. Greg has written probably, we think, one of the most important books that Christians can read in regards to understanding how to engage in not only just evangelism, but really any hard conversation that people normally shy away from. What this book does, and what we'll talk about in this video and maybe in a few videos in the future, is how to give you some tactics in which you can engage in these conversations so that you can advance your claim, but also do it in a way that's artful and winsome. So Greg Koukl's ministry is called Stand to Reason. We recommend all their material, www.str.org. Go on there, use their information, read it, just consume it. It's really, really good stuff. And at Stand to Reason, they say, they use what's called the ambassador model. And they would say that, I think rightly so, that biblically we are all commanded to be, as believers, ambassadors for Christ. And that means that they would say that involves three things. Number one, it involves knowledge. Right, so we have to know what it is that we believe, and we have to know why we believe it. And that's all the things that we teach at Ratio, all the things that we're going through throughout the year on why we believe what we believe. So you have to have knowledge, but you also have to have wisdom. And wisdom means a method, an artful method in how I engage in these conversations. And that's what tactics deals with. They also talk about, lastly, character. And so character is something that we're not going to necessarily talk about in this video, but maybe in the future video we can talk about as super important in that the way in which we walk this Christian life is super important for the claims that we're making. So today we're going to look at wisdom, and we're going to look at tactics in defending our faith. Now, Koukl contrasts tactics with strategy. And the difference is strategy, he would say, is a sort of big picture, and that's what we talk about, the evidence. Now, we think we have the evidence. We think we have the goods, so to speak. We can make a claim for Christianity in the marketplace of ideas that's better than any of the other worldviews, because Christianity actually is true. But tactics, as opposed to strategy, means, now how do I engage in those conversations in ways that would not only encourage people to want to come back and have more conversations, but, as Koukl says, that we can put a stone in their shoe. In other words, what does that mean? It means what I want to do in these conversations, and maybe my only goal in these conversations, is to have the person that I'm engaging with walk away from that conversation with a metaphorical stone in their shoe. Now, have you ever had a stone in your shoe? Yeah, when you walk away, it's uncomfortable, you have to stop, you have to deal with it. And so in a similar way, we want people to think about something that they maybe never thought about before. And the way in which we're going to do that, so they have this metaphorical stone in their shoe, the way we're going to put that stone in their shoe, the reason why tactics is so brilliant is because we're doing it by just asking good questions. So what we want you to do is get in the habit of asking good questions. And we're going to teach you that, and I recommend getting the book Tactics, and we're going to walk through some of that in the video, but there's much, much more in the book itself that we highly recommend. That's why we highly recommend everybody buying the book. But asking good questions is really important for a couple reasons. Number one, you're showing interest in what the person says, but the other thing you're doing is you're not dealing with what we call straw man fallacies. So for instance, if someone tells me they don't believe in God, and I just start going on all my arguments for God's existence, that may well be good. The problem is I don't even know what they mean when they say the term God. So I want to ask good questions to figure that out. And what I'm doing is I'm putting the burden on them. I'm forcing them to make claims, to defend their claims, but they're doing all the work. So if I'm learning to ask good questions, I can engage in conversations all day long. I'm asking them questions. They're having to think through their worldview. They're having to answer these questions. And it's easy for me. I'm just asking questions. They're doing all the work. And they will hopefully, because I'm guiding the questions based on where I kind of want it to go, I can stay in control of the conversation, that then through the course of this discussion, I can put a stone in their shoe and make them think about things. If I'm just lecturing them, most assuredly, most probably, they're not really listening to what I have to say, or they're just ignoring it, or they're thinking about their response. If they're talking, if they're doing all the work, then they're coming up with reasons, and maybe for the first time thinking about these things in ways that they never thought about before. So the beauty of tactics, the beauty of what we're going to teach you in the next couple of videos, and the beauty of what Koukl teaches in his book is asking good questions forces this person to think about why they believe what they believe, and maybe for the first time. It's also important to understand, look, we don't just have a simulation where I can just tell you X, Y, and Z, do this, do this, do this, do this. Because every conversation is different. So what we learn at tactics is more like one-on-one basketball than it is memorizing a script. Every conversation is going to be different. And so what we're going to do is we're going to teach you some skills that you can use, and then what you're going to have to do is get out there and start talking to people, asking good questions, get in conversations, and then learn from the conversations how to do it better and better and better. And really the only way that's going to happen is by more and more conversations. So remember, we're going to teach you to ask good questions. We also, he says this, which I think is great. Interested is interesting. If you're interested in somebody, if you're asking them questions, they think you're an interesting person, so they're going to want to continue the conversation. So we're going to teach you to do that in the next couple of videos. So watch the next videos that you'll see. In the next video, we'll teach you the two most important tactics, the queen mother of all tactics. He calls the Columbo tactic, and then in future videos we'll talk about some more. So remember to not only to ask good questions, we talk about that all the time here at Ratio Christi at UNCW, ask good questions, but also seek good answers. This is Aaron Marshall with Ratio Christi here at UNC Wilmington.